we'd had a lot of roller coaster ride. You know, I'd gone from, you know, having no kind of record deal to having an amazing record deal to having selling a lot of albums, you know, especially in America, to winning like a Grammy, and it kind of spins you a bit, and you know, things that you dreamed of as a kid come round.
We finished our last show for our last tour in Turkey, in Istanbul, which was, I think, about last September.
Amazing enough, we had about a 4-day break until we got back in the studio to start on the new album.
The last few sort of European dates, we started rotating some of the songs that we'd already written for the second album, you know, like anyone would do.
During that whole time of touring and promoting that record, the band was growing as a band, and you know, we were actually forming this tight unit, and so it was more of a case of, right, we really want to show what we can do on this record, rather than, you know, like, you know, what are we going to do?
Days go by and still I think of you. Days when I couldn't live my life without you. Without you.
We knew from the beginning that we wanted to kind of put more of the human element back into this second album, what we basically like embraced while we was out on you know, on tour for like 2 years.
Basically, we were playing the songs live, and you know, so the guitars were coming out, the drums coming out, the bass, and you know, everything was coming out, and we just kind of felt that was more our sound than what we'd done on that first record, and we were a band, and that we wanted to show that on this record. So we just got back in and we're like, let's just do it how we do it on stage.
Up ahead there in the distance, shadows coming through the haze. You're the only one that listens to help me break loose from these chains.
We was locked in the studio, as you can see where we're filming here behind the amazing fridge. We'd locked in here for months and months and months making this record, and it just came to become a job. I think making records is supposed to be fun, and we were here from 9 till 6, 9 till 7 every day, and you know, we could have come in wearing a suit. You just come in, you make your cup of tea, you sit down, you make a record.
And that wasn't working for me, like, you know, inspirationally. You know, I needed something more than that, and any time I'd ever written songs, I've always been away from this kind of environment. So I said to the boys that I'm gonna go on a writing trip. And they said, well, you know, we'll come with you. You know, it sounds like a good idea, and you know, we've read about some of our favourite bands historically that have gone away and just locked themselves in a cottage somewhere, and you know, wrote these great songs. And that's exactly what we did. We found this remote cottage in the out of God knows wherever of Scotland.
And then that week in Scotland, we came out with Save Me Now and lots of pieces to home again, and we thought it really worked. For the first time, we'd actually having fun again making records.
We was just writing songs through the middle of the night, and I'd burn, you know, one of the tracks to the iPod. I'd go walking around a lock, I'd come back to the guys and go, I've got the lyrics. It was just there, you know, because the inspiration was there, and it was that feeling, that sense of like, this is what we're here to do. We are at this place to make this album.
Will my life ever be the same? As I walk into the sun.
And we come back, and right, we need 2 more tracks for the album, let's go away again, and we went away to Cornwall.
And we just sat there with the whole band set up and just got drunk and wrote songs for the new album. So
it was the best idea we ever had, and from now on, we're just going to go away. Next places include like Sweden, Norway, Finland. We're just going to go away somewhere where there's nice drinks and pretty scenery.
That was a real learning process for me, because it was almost like a relief thing, because you know, I was certainly having trouble with, because the boys musically were coming up with fantastic tracks, and I was thinking, I've got to do this justice, and it becomes like a vicious circle, and you know, I think we got there in the end anyway.
To be honest, a big problem with writing the album was having your own studio.
You know, without having either a producer who's going to give you a third, you know, an independent opinion on things, which sometimes you just go with, or having, you know, a budget where you've got to finish it by the end of the month, or, you know, that's it, that's the album. You know, whereas we didn't have that, you know, it's been a bit of a hindrance to us. I mean, the record's taken us a year and a half to make, and maybe we could have done it in about 3 months had we, you know, had the budget, you know.
The records, in the end, we went over the same track 10 times each, and then by the end of it, like, for fuck's sake, you've got to finish this record. So we come to the end, we got it done, and we're really pleased with the outcome. But I'm sure if we had a producer in there, the album would have been out last Christmas. So.
Let me walk you home again. Home again.
I think when we realised the record was done was when we had some mastering dates booked in, and whereas on the last album we had 11 songs at album and wrote 11 songs. This one we wrote about 50, of which 10's made it to the album, and we kind of got to a point where we were like, we could just go on forever doing this, and it was driving us nuts a bit. And then when we had those dates booked in for the mastering time, we just worked so hard for like the last 2 weeks, and I think we had like a mastering date on the Monday, and on Friday we knew we had this record that we wanted to build. It's called Million Ways. It was the last thing we did, and we knew we wanted that on the record, but we only had a really basic idea. It's just like a verse for it, and so we just worked like kind of 24 hours a day right up to that point to get that record done. And then when we went in the mastering room, and John Davis, our master engineer, when he just turned it up on the stereo, you know, and the mic, we were like, yeah, this record's done.
And if this is real, then let me walk you home again.
We actually feel we've progressed quite a lot from the first album to this. It's a lot different, but again, it's got that same sort of feeling of, it's just quite nice. It's one of these things that you can just have on, and it's very inoffensive, but again, it's really nice and melodic and sing-alongy. I have no idea what I'm talking about, so next question.
At the end of the day, we're only trying to craft our own sound, and you know, I think to do that in this kind of day and age is very, very hard, because there's so many fantastic bands out there, you know, doing their thing, and we're never really put into any kind of camp. You know, everyone just, you know, calls us our own thing, and that's something that we're really proud of, and something that we want to hone, and something that we want to shape and build.
The record itself, people will get different things out of different songs on it. It's amazing when you talk to, you know, obviously our friends have listened to the record, and it's amazing what tracks each person picks out. It's usually different every time, and you know, yeah, exactly, like they'll be like, oh, I was like driving down to the coast and I had it on, it sounded great, and someone else who I knew is like split up with a girlfriend and they've had it on and just saying there's a couple of tracks they were like, oh, you know, that's helping me out a little bit. So I guess it's kind of whatever's good for the person, for the individual, I guess.
I think we knew where we was going to go with it, and it was how to get to that, because I think we were certainly aware that we'd come from the sound that everyone knew from the, you know, like from the first album, and I think, you know, what's taken us best part of the year to make is that there's a continual thread. You know, it's like the sound of the band is opening up and, you know, becoming where, you know, as we're going and growing, you know, like within ourselves.